Hello chess friends and welcome to your side of chess channel and welcome to a truly amazing positional gameplay by the strongest chess engine in the world. Welcome to an amazing gameplay by Lizard against Stockfish 17 in an amazing close Ruy Lopez. And this game is very spectacular because Stockfish will first of all play here a great Ruy Lopez with the black pieces and will show us also a great theoretical novelty in the opening. But then afterwards Stockfish will perform really wild positional idea where it will simply lock out its opponent's light square bishop into the game. And I think positionally, the game was already over after only 15 moves. I think positionally, Stockfish already destroyed the Lizard in the early state of the game, although the game was prolonged to move 17 or something. But I really think that the game was really strategically already over after 15 moves, which is really crazy how Stockfish understands this position. It's very amazing. So put your seatbelts on and enjoy in a beautiful positional game by Stockfish 17. So with the white pieces here, a Lizard opened with the move e4. The fish response was an e5. We have knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to b5. The Spanish game, and after a6, we have now the Murphy defense. We have knight to f6, casting bishop to e7, the close Ruy Lopez, and now here the Lizard fixes now the rook to the pawn on e4. b5 by the fish. We have bishop to b3, casting, and now the standard idea also with the move d3, preparing the now for reversal of something like c3, and then maybe a launch a central breakthrough with the move d4. Stockfish continues with the solid d6, so fixes now everything in the center. We have now the move a4 because the queen is not connected to the rook. Here Lizard uses this moment and puts more pressure against this rook on a8. We have now bishop to d7. The queen is now connected to the rook. c3 here by Lizard, and now knight to a5, hitting the bishop. Bishop drops back, and now c5. And I would say a pretty equalish game. White has a better activity, of course, on the king side. Black has a better activity on the queen side with potential b4 ideas. And here after knight from b to d2, Stockfish continues with an interesting queen to b6. Is of course trying here to put more pressure on the queen side by playing the move b4. We have now knight to f1, and after move b4, here Lizard plays now the move d4, a central counter attack here by White. But now Stockfish in move 14 played an interesting b3, and this move has been played already in chess history I see, let me check it out. I see only now 3 games in the database which ended with a draw. After move b3, here Lizard dropped to with the bishop to b1, and now Stockfish continues with the novelty with the move queen to c7. And this move hasn't been played so far, and this move queen to c7 is supporting of course a potential c4, and when that happens then the bishop on b1 is already out of game. And that's exactly what happened. After bishop to g5, here after move c4, we're now in move 16, and the game is, I think, strategically, I would not say over, but Stockfish evaluates this position already slightly better for black. White's light square bishop is really out of game. You cannot get it into the game. The only way maybe that White can get the light square bishop into the game if black plays maybe a bad, I don't know, e takes d4, and then you could maybe play the move e5, and then the light square bishop will eventually come into the game. What you have to do is just keep here the tension around the square e5, because in any of these lines, for instance, White takes, then you can still do something like this, and still you see the light square bishop is out of game. What you're not allowing, of course, this pawn on e4 to roll here in the center of the board. But let's go back. Let's go really back. Could maybe here after move b3 Lizard done something else here. Even if you try bishop to d3, then still c4 can be played, which is perfectly fine. But the better choice here is immediately to play e takes d4. That's the issue. And now it's a tactical problem now for White. It's not a positional problem that White has here. You can maybe try, I don't know, with c takes d4, but now again c4, you're dropping back, and then with c3 the position is simply collapsing. If you pick up now this pawn, then b2 is rolling. You lose at least one piece here on the first rank. Even if you try here instead of c takes d4, you could maybe try finally e5. Seems tempting that you're getting finally the light square bishop into the game, but then after d takes e5, knight to e5, bishop to e6, again we're preparing the move c4, and even if you pick up this pawn again with the same motif c4, you're dropping back c3, b takes c3, b2, and again black is completely winning. So you see after move b3 here, even bishop to d3 is not working because after e takes d4, the position is now a tactical problem for white. So that's why here Lizard dropped back to b1, and as I said, we're now in move 15, and it seems to me that positionally already white is completely destroyed. So that's why Stockfish continues with the novelty. As we said, queen to c7 connects now the queen to the e5 square. That this square you have to protect, because that's the only way maybe for white to somehow open the position. And now after move bishop to g5, brilliant c4 here by the fish, and white's light square bishop is neutralized, is paralyzed. Strategically a bad game here for white. So we have now knight to e3. You see the e5 pawn is still holding here. We have bishop to g4 attacking now the knight on f3. What you could do, maybe here's knight to g4, but it doesn't help you out. After knight to g4, we have bishop to e7, queen to e7, and now after, I don't know, something like h3, we simply step back. And even if you try, I don't know, maybe to go for the f5 square, it's easy defendable with g6. And again, what you're not supposed to do is somehow take this pawn, then maybe this pawn could be rolling, and then the light square bishop is finally coming into the game. So after bishop to g4 by Stockfish, Lizard tried h3, Stockfish took, queen to f3, and now rook to e8, simply protecting also the bishop on e7. Knight to f5, king to h8, knight takes e7, queen takes e7, and suddenly the game becomes really interesting. It's a 2 knights versus 2 bishops middle game. But the downside is that the light square bishop on b1 is still a bad piece. The dark square bishop is great here by black, so that's why I'm not sure if black will ever, if white will ever take now here the knight on f6. Then after g takes f6, still this bishop is bad. And in one particular moment, I don't know, maybe we will find a good score for the knight. Maybe hop here to f4, get the rook on g8, build the battery, because the position cannot really be opened here. So again, it would be a much better position here for black. So after queen to e7, Lizard tried to keep the dark bishop on the board. Stockfish continues with h6 with the same plan. Bishop to e3, and now rook to g8, rook to d1. Here Stockfish plays, I would say, a quite provocative move. Queen to e6, because many of us would play something like, I don't know, d5 now, but actually this move d5 would of course further paralyze the light square bishop. So that's why we just drop back, and here again positionally the position really didn't improve here for white. So that's why after queen to e6, the Lizard tried to keep it calm, played now g3. Stockfish continues with rook to c8, now improves a little bit the position of the pieces, and launches here the flank attack on the king side, because it's almost like Stockfish is playing with an extra piece, because this bad bishop is still holding the here. So we have now rook to h1, rook to g6, rook to g8. Stockfish builds a battery. We have queen to c8, and again Stockfish is not touching, of course, anything here, because again this e5 goal could happen. We have now rook to g1, rook to e8. We have now king to g7. Here Stockfish is ruling the knight, but of course keeps an eye on the e5 square. We have now king to h2, queen to d8, rook to d1. Stockfish improves the position of its pieces, but now knight to f6. Again, a good move here by Stockfish. Rook to d1, h5, continuing the pressure on the king side. We have king to g2, and now h4. Breaking and entering here now finally on the king side, because Stockfish gained huge activity with the rook, with the knight that could maybe later come into the game. This rook could be included into the attack. The queen could be also, of course, included in the attack. What's the issue? It's not like here Lizard is playing just down a whole piece. It's also like it's playing down a whole rook, because this rook can never be included into the game, because the bishop cannot move. So as I said, we're really a bad game here for white. It's so frustrating. I think if a human would play now this game from white's perspective, this would be so frustrating to play for sure. We have now g4 by Lizard, trying finally to keep everything locked. Stockfish improves the position of the king, now also the position of the rook, and tries to search for new opportunities for the knight. And now finally Lizard cleared the d-file by trading off the pawns on e5. But again, you see Stockfish is not allowing any f4 moves that could maybe let this pawn roll and liberate now the light square bishop. We have now queen to d8. Stockfish trades it off, why not? But again, it's Stockfish playing simply with many pieces more than Lizard. Lizard is just playing with the dark with bishop and only with the rook on d8. Now Stockfish meanwhile plays with 2 rooks and 2 knights, because this knight will be activated in one particular moment for sure in the game. We have now rook to h8, the check. Lizard improves now the position of the rook, but now rook to e6. Stockfish occupies now the only open file, the d file, and now rook to c7, king to h6, rook to c8, and now f6. Slowly but surely, every move is a tiny little improvement. Stockfish is not rushing with anything here. Stockfish has such a dominant position that first of all it plays a calm, quiet game, and then when the time is right, it will probably strike with some tactics. King to e1, rook to g7, now rook to f7, and you see now Lizard is desperately trying now to search for any opportunities for the rook. The rook can just move on a3, a1, and as I said, devastating position for white. Rook to e7, we have now rook to h8, king to g6. Now Lizard again improves the position of the rook. Rook to c7, and now after rook to e8, this is a good move. The issue is now that there's simply no good move for the rook. The rook is really now paralyzed. Stockfish locked out now the rook. The only square that you have maybe for the rook is the square a7, but then rook to c8. I don't know, you're trying f3, and now probably Stockfish would reroute now the knight on e6 when it can, from which one it can jump, of course, on the square f4 and then double up here on the d file. And as I said, tactically now finally I would say white is simply getting destroyed. So after rook to e8, we have now bishop to c5. Stockfish raises off, why not? Improves now the position of the rooks, creates a battery here on the d file, rook to d5, and still Stockfish is not rushing. This is very amazing. Even after rook to d5, Stockfish doesn't want to take, because then finally, as we said, then the Lysko bishop could finally come into the game. So Stockfish is saying no thank you, your Lysko bishop will stay there forever. So king to g7, we have now king to e3 here by a Lizard. Even if you try rook takes d6, rook takes d6, you just can move the rook here. You cannot really improve the position of the rook. You cannot improve the position of the bishop, and now slowly but surely black would probably go for the pawn, and then you just push the pawn here, improve again also the position of the knight, search again for the f4 square. So again, game over here for white. So after king to here king to e3 was played instead of rook to d6 by Lizard. After king to e3, Stockfish continues now with an attack against the rook. Lizard tried now to sacrifice the rook for the exchange just in order to finally get the Lysko bishop into the game. Now finally the bishop in move 65 is coming finally somewhere, but of course it's such a bad position because now the material is not equal. Stockfish goes here for the pawn, Stockfish goes for the king, and now plays also an interesting e4. Here Lizard took, but now an attack against this piece. Stockfish pushes the pawn further, f3 here, and after promotion, rook to b1 and king to e2 and rook to a1 in this particular position. Lizard resigns. So what's the issue? Of course, after something like king to e3, we'll simply pick up this pawn, and the rook is controlling the king. The king cannot go towards his pawn. This is a dangerous passer. In one moment probably white will have to give up the bishop for pawn, and then afterwards it's an easy win here for black. So amazing game, I would say, by Stockfish here. Interesting line of the close Ruy Lopez, which is a line that I think everyone should know, because this could happen to you also when you play maybe with the white pieces. Be careful where you're going to go with your Lysko bishop. Don't allow this position on the queen side to be too close, because if that happens, that you see now the case here, you cannot really get this Lysko bishop in such a great way into the game. Positionally, Stockfish destroyed here its opponent from move 15. I would say here the game was already over for Lizard. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. If you want to see more beautiful game with the black pieces performed by Stockfish, check out our last 2 videos from the computer chess series, where we analyze the beautiful Nimzo Indian game and also beautiful Lasker Pelican Sicilian from black's perspective. So if you're bothered maybe with your play with the black pieces, these are, I think, perfect 2 defenses also for you. And if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.